Welcome to Live Free. I'm Angela K. Austin. Together, we'll discuss books, we'll explore the world, and we'll do it with some of my closest friends. And hopefully, we'll make new ones along the way.
Hey everybody, this is Angela K. Austin, and today I'm here with my girl, Sage Young. Say hi, Sage.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sage.
All right, so I know so many of you guys know Sage Young, but I want to share something with you guys personal, which is one of the reasons why I so love Sage Young, Phoenix Daniels, Laverne Thompson. So as many of you guys know, a few years back, I just had a lot of tragedy in my life. And I was cutting off everything. I wasn't writing. I wasn't going to conferences. I wasn't doing anything. And this was really before I knew you, Sage, right? But I have a cousin who is she's like my champion, right? So whenever I'm going through anything, she's like, oh, we got to go do this and da-da-da. And so I was going to attend IRAE, but I had a lot of loss. And so I was like, I'm not going. I'm not doing all this stuff. I'm just going to sit here in my cave and I'm going to suck my thumb and I'm going to let the world beat me down. And my cousin was like, nope, we're going. And I was like, and when I went, I met Sage. I met Phoenix, and of course you guys know my girl Laverne. She was like, right, you got to keep doing. But so really at a time in my life where there was a lot of things happening, I met some beautiful people who inspired me to get back into the whole swing of it, to write and make life happen. So so Sage, I don't know if I ever had shared that with you guys, but I have a picture of us. And let me tell y'all, a girl's looking bad. This is a time in my life where I was like not eating properly. Hair was falling out of my head. I had a weave. It was like poor little weave, didn't have nothing to stick to. It was like, sew to, whatever, because it was a sew-in, I think. But it's just crazy. When you guys, when life is so crazy, it's so weird how different people come into your world and they inspire you without them even realizing how they've touched your world. So I had to have Sage, and you guys know I've already interviewed Laverne and Phoenix and so many other people who have been a part of my world, but I had to interview Sage as well. So welcome, Sage Young.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
I'm happy to be here with you, Angela.
Girl, I'm happy you're here. So for all of you who don't know Sage Young, I want her to tell us a little bit about who she is and what she writes. So I've read a lot of Sage's books. So, this is going to be a good conversation. But Sage, tell everybody a little bit about Sage Young, how long you've been writing, what genres, that type of thing. And then we'll get a little bit more into your books and stuff.
Sounds good. So Sage Young, I've been writing for a while. Actually, I've been writing on and off since probably before high school, just jotting things down and never thinking about publishing anything but I think it must have been in 2011 when I had some issues going on personally, and I just sort of threw myself into writing again and actually finished my first book, which was Delusional Love. And it was sort of therapy for me. I mean, I write and I love reading, but it was something about just starting this book, and from start to finish, it was therapy for me, and I just never turned back. It's such a passion for me when I write. And it's sort of like I get lost in my characters. Sometimes my family thinks I have issues because I talk to my characters, and I cry when they cry. I get angry when they get angry. But it is something that I really, really enjoy doing.
If you guys have not read one of Sage's books, I think you can tell she enjoys, and especially when she writes about certain things. So, I wanted to talk about a couple of things with Sage today. One is she and I both have a love for traveling.
Yes.
But also tropes. So before we talk about, I guess we could talk about traveling first. So you have been to Greece and just you know, why do you travel so much? I know why I do, but why do you
I
travel? And
absolutely love traveling. I think I just love experiencing new things, going to different places, and it's funny because it's actually my daughter who sort of is helping me to broaden my horizon and go into other countries. I mean, I'm good with going to Jamaica. I'm good to going to the Bahamas, but she is actually traveled with her to Greece, and while in Greece, we were able to also go to Rome, and it's just amazing. Like I love just going. I mean, if I could afford it, I'd be traveling all the time.
that was something that I was telling somebody. I was like, if my bank account matched my wanderlust,
Exactly,
it would be
exactly.
insane. I would be like, I'd be all over this place. There would not be a country I had not visited if
Right,
I made it, you know.
right.
How does your traveling impact your books? Do you know you ever incorporate any of the things that you see or experience or feel, you know, when you're traveling into the books that you're writing?
I do. A lot of what's in my books, well, of course, a lot of it's research, but some of it is personal experience. And I do like to incorporate my travel. So I want to get to the point where I'm able to travel to the countries that I want to write about, and then I can write about them. I'm getting there. I'm not quite there yet, but that is something that I would love to do. But I do. I incorporate some of the things that I've seen, places I've gone. I have incorporated them into some of my books. A lot of my books, as if any of you know me, I'm from Philly. So almost probably all of my books, they travel to different places, but they are kind of set in Philly because that's what I know. I mean, it's just, but they do. We had the one book, Choices, we'll talk about them, but the one by chance, not choice, it went back and forth between Tokyo and Philly. So it was cool. Now I've never been to Tokyo, though. I want to go. I want to go.
Me too. Okay, we're
I
gonna
want to
plan
go.
that one together. You
Yes.
know, and I feel like I do the same thing. Like the more I travel myself, the more I want like my characters to travel. Like I want to take them to different places,
Yes.
and I want them to date different people, experience different things, because of the fact that when I go to those places, it's like wow, you know, look at the way they dress, listen to their accents, their food,
The
and
culture.
exactly, I just want to like
Yes.
pull it into a story and then like share it with people. It's
Hmm.
like my version of a picture album. Instead of the actual pictures, it's more like trying to recreate the scene or something.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that. Um, and so when you are, because I'm trying to think of which one of the books I read where I think the woman she went on vacation.
Yes. Choices we make.
Choice
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. So I was like, okay, Sage Young, I ain't never had that kind of a vacation. You know, she took, and so if you guys haven't read that one, let's not spoil it for you, and we'll talk about more of the books. But it's like the woman goes on vacation with, what do we call him, Sage? What would we say he is?
A friend, not even a friend. She didn't know him.
Yeah.
We don't
So
want to call him an escort,
I would
but
say, would he be an escort though?
yeah, kind of would have been. Yeah. It's a whole lot of twists and turns in that book, though.
It really
And
is.
that is actually, out of all of my books, that's one of my favorite. Like,
It
I
is.
will go back and reread that one. I really, I enjoyed. I mean, I enjoy writing all of my books, but that was probably my longest book and the one I wrote the fastest, just because I just needed to get it out.
I loved it. It was like I enjoyed it for a few different reasons, but I was just like, this girl, get yours, girl. She's
Right.
she's like,
Look,
I got my own money and I don't want to take this trip by myself.
there
Oh,
you go.
that was one option. You could have asked a girlfriend, but it's
Could
cool.
have, but it was a lot more fun.
It's like, but
Dominic.
but it
A
was
lot more fun with Dominic.
it's such an interesting book. If you guys have not read it, you should really pick it up. So, and that leads us into a little bit about tropes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, everybody who knows, us, who knows me, you guys know that I write in the women's fiction and romance genres. I throw a little paranormal in there. But I also write kind of like, in African American or multicultural, multiracial, or however you want to look at those as other little niches. But within those, there's like tropes. For me, I like to write a lot of, I would write office romances or workplace romances, things like that. Those are areas I like to hover in. My women will have their own businesses, so it's like different things like, when I'm putting a story together, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is kind of where I like my sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
What tropes do you like? Like, tell us a little bit, because
I love babies.
She does.
I love multiple births.
Yeah.
That is a thing. That's a thing of mine. So, in quite a few of my books, you will find that there are somebody's always having a baby, and a lot of times there's multiple births. Because that's my thing. I love babies, and I love multiple births. So yeah, that's one of the things I write in. Mostly in multicultural, but that's not the only thing. I'm working on a few projects but I love writing romance. So romance is my thing, but and happily ever afters. I leave that hardcore stuff to other people who that's their thing. Hardcore, because we live in a world where there's so much going on, and just, I don't necessarily want to always read about it. So I'm always going to write that romance because that's what I like. Not always. I mean, I dabble into other things, but that is what I love to write.
And I totally agree with you with that. It's just, we talk about it all the time. The world gets so crazy that, with my writing, I feel like I do a few different things. But one of the things that I like to do is take people away from the craziness. Give them a little bit of escape. But, sometimes I also want to see if I can like open them up.
Right.
A new way of thinking. So, like, I have a book coming out called Broken Road. It's probably not very much escapism, but I want to challenge people's thinking a little bit, like if you had to make a seriously hard choice, what would you do if it came down to, if you didn't change your ways, you could lose the people that you love most. So, I like to push people and challenge people sometimes. And I think some of that comes from stuff like, because I've never experienced some of the things that I take my characters through in this book.
Right.
So with you, and, whenever I want to say this book, I'm like, where the baby's at? And it's almost like I'm like waiting for you to give me a sign. I'm like, wait, is that a sign? But it's like, it's like when you write these tropes, because you love romance and you write in that genre, and you love babies and you write in that genre, what makes you want to incorporate that? What makes you want to, write in the world of romance? And what makes you want to show these women, because your women, are usually strong women. They are, heads of companies, run their own businesses. So what makes you want to show these strong women characters who have these babies, by themselves, or they're willing to stand up to the challenge if they find out that they have a baby on the way, and instead of being like, oh, I'm going to do this by myself, they, you know what I mean? So what makes you, want to write those kinds of women, and what makes you want to write romance?
Right. Well, I think first, writing strong women, that because I think that I write a lot about who I am. I work in the outside the home, and I just think that I just like writing about women who are strong and who are independent. But I don't write about women who are so strong and so independent that they don't think that they need a significant other. Not that they need, but they want a significant other. So it's something I'm fascinated with. Like I love a good story, and I love to read about a strong woman who finds a man who's just as strong and loves her and work with her and protect her when she needs it, and vice versa.
And I think that's where I'm at too, because I think that a lot of times, for me especially, I was talking with someone else and I was saying that, especially if you look at the world around us right now, oftentimes women of color are not presented as women who really want love, or, you know, when I say want love, like want a protective kind of love, right? Because often women of color are shown as being like these super, super strong women, you know, I am She-Ra, I am Wonder Woman, you know, like you don't, you know, desire to have this type of relationship where you know, you would be, protected or cared for in a certain way. Right. So I like to show both as well, because I like to show that, you know, just because you're a successful woman, you know, or just because you have your own bank account, or just because you have your whatever, that doesn't mean that you don't want, you know, someone in your life who is, you know, wants to be your hero. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And not every Black woman is an angry Black woman. Like, I don't like those stereotypes, and we get enough of that in the media and how other people perceive us. And that's not how I write us, because I know that that's not how we are.
Yeah. I like to show us as multi-layered. I mean, we are people who
Absolutely
are, you know, we are just as, you know, loving and kind and gentle, you know, and we are, you know, we desire romance and passion and love just like every other human, you know. And so
right.
I love that we have the opportunity to show that, you know. And, you know, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you too was, why do you self-publish? Because I know I self-publish because I didn't see a lot of books that show the diversity of who we are as women of color. You know, I didn't see that diversity in a lot of our books, or a lot of books out there. I'm sorry, not our books, other books.
Right.
Because it was, you know, and you guys have heard me say this before, sidekick, sassy, the friend, the whatever, the over the top, you know, whatever person. But I wanted to show us in a different light. So,
right.
You know, what made you jump into self-publishing? Because how long have you been doing it, Sage? I can't remember.
I've been self-published since 2012.
Okay.
Right. So I think, well, initially, because I was new to the whole publishing, and I knew I had a story to tell. And that's what most people say. I have a story to tell. And so I knew I had a story to tell, and I figured, you know, I tried to go to the traditional route. I sent letters and samples to different publishing houses, and the ones that even bothered, I mean, I sent a lot. The ones that even bothered to respond, it was like, no, not quite what we're looking for. So I said, you know what? Amazon made it easy. I'm going to do it myself. So, and of course, there were a lot of bumps and mistakes along the way, and I'm still learning. But I decided, once I published my first book, I just, you know, I said, that's it. I publish, I keep whatever I make. I'm not, you know what I mean? I mean, if an opportunity comes along, I'm not saying that I never will go with a publishing company, but at this point in my career, in my writing, I like self-publishing.
I call Sage, it's like the accidental success. She's like, I don't know what I did. It's happened. It cracks me up. I've never talked to someone so many times who will swear she doesn't know what she's doing.
I don't.
Like, everything she touches is like golden, people. So let's talk.
And well, it's interesting because when I first published my first book, and it did well, I was like, wait a minute, is this how it's supposed to be? Like, I you know what? I just think that at that I was just blessed, and I had some little angels in my corner that I wasn't even aware of. And when I say little angels in my corner, I think that there were readers that were out there. Like when I tell you I was new to this, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know. I knew very few authors. And when I call them my little angels who read my book and just sort of, it went through different groups like wildfire. Like, did you read this one? So I think that they helped a lot in getting the word out there about my books.
They definitely did. Because let me tell y'all what. I was like, she was talking with me about, yeah, my first, I was like, I was like, what say you now? You say you don't know what you're doing.
I'm still learning. It still amazes me. I've been doing this since 2012, and it still amazes me things I still don't know. Like, I'm learning every day, and just.
But that's the way it's supposed to be, you know. Sage is one of the people, guys, that, you know, when I'm trying to figure out something new, do something new, she's one of the people that I will pick up the phone and call or send a text message and be like, hey, what do you know about this? Or what have you heard about this?
And vice versa.
but that's, you know, but that's the whole thing, is that when, you know, when you're in this thing of self-publishing, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to make it work. It's like you guys have heard me say it before, you don't have to do it alone. There are people trying to do it just like you know. And when I think about Sage and her first book, it cracks me up, because Sage, you don't have a copy of your first book. You know, she's on the copy of her first book, right? Was it the first?
Yes, but you know, I've since changed the cover, but that was so weird what happened. Because I was so new to it, I knew what I wanted on the cover, and we were trying to get it right, and we couldn't. Like, I just wanted lips with a finger, and we couldn't get it. My face ended up being on it. So
that face made you money. I'd be like Oprah. I'll put my face on every book. You know, you guys have heard me talk about the fact that on my books, I often don't put people on them. And I often don't do that because of the fact that it was like, cover art is so hard when you're talking about people of color, right?
Right.
Or like my hair texture versus like a Sage hair texture. You know, if you look at us, like, how do I, if I want to put a woman on my book who might not be my complexion, you know, might be almost Sage's complexion, but who's got my hair, but like bigger, you know, it's like by the time you finish making that cover look like what you want it to, you know, unless you're into a cover that looks more like a cartoon or something like that, which I have Christmas covers like that, it doesn't even look like I want it to look. It doesn't have the tone that I want my books to have. So oftentimes I don't put people on my covers, and it's only just recently that I've started to put people on, you know, the heads, the faces on my books. But, you know, when I met Sage, I should have changed my thinking out of the gate when I met you, Sage, when I think about it, because your first book cover was you doing this.
Yep, it was me, side view.
Just like, you know, so I'm like, and that was how she came out the gate, guys. And it's like, that's the thing, you know, every time I think about self-publishing, every time I interview somebody, I'm like, it's so cool. All of us have different, you know, reasons or different ways in which we fell into it. Like, we all words, obviously we would have never started. But, and, you know, and even though we all may have come to it because we couldn't find a traditional home.
Right.
The thing is that, you know, you've been doing it since 2012. I've been doing it, well, I was first published in like 2008 or 2009, but I've been self-publishing really probably less time than you, to be honest, because I guess I've been self-publishing for, well, no, maybe, no, I've probably been self-publishing maybe 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
So a little less, but, you know, but it's like, but that's the thing, is just that, you know, we fall into it and then we end up finding like all these different ways, you know, because I mean, I
figure out what works for you.
You have to figure out what works. And when you figure out your formula, share it. Share it with somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself.
Exactly. And I'm always willing. And that's why I'm so thankful that I have like a core group, and Angela's one of them, that I can always call and they'll always pick up and they'll always answer a question for me and always willing to be helpful. That you don't always find that. Let me just say, you don't always find that. And I'm just thankful that I do have that core group of women that really we look out for each other.
I think so. You know, I think that it's like, it's a little bit of sanity in the world. So you can talk with the people who will be like, okay, now I tried this, it did not work. You know, now how do I switch from this to something else? You know, and everybody doesn't have to try everything at the same time, you know, so you can see what works for one person and modify for the next thing. So I love that. And it's like literally right now, some of the stuff that I'm working on with my next few books will be, you know, a strategy for going wide, you know, just, and for those of you who don't know what I mean by that, but it's just, you know, being available through various distributors so that your people have, you know, more touch points for more readers potentially. But, and that's probably weird for people to hear me say, because I do have a lot of books that are wide, but I don't have every book, you know. And so now I'm just looking at creating a better, stronger strategy.
Same here. I just am getting into sending some of my books wide, just because, I mean, I've been on Amazon, and then when Kindle Unlimited came out, and I fought it for as long as I could. Then I put my books in Kindle Unlimited, but now I'm trying to give it a go at some of them going wide and see how that works out.
Yeah. And, you know, and when you think about that, you know, once we have those formulas figured out, it's all of us sharing it and working together. So that, you know, it helps, you know, move on. And speaking of which, let's talk about some of those books, because, you know, when we're talking about, like, I do a lot of books that are happily for now. Ever after. So, you know, when you're thinking about these books, and you're thinking about that strategy of going wide, let's talk about your books a little bit. Let's talk about, you know, because I know you've done a lot of changing, with some of the books, with some re-releases and some cover art. So let's talk about what you're doing. What's happening right now with some of the books?
So right now, actually, and we were just talking about wide distribution, the Draco Brothers series. So that is, we were talking earlier about the young lady who hired the escort. That's choices we make. And so a lot of my books are series, but they are standalone, because my first book that I came out with, Delusional Love, was not a standalone, and they let me hear it. Like, you know, they don't like those cliffhangers. Like, finish the book, finish it. So I, now all of my books, while they are a continuation, they are standalone. So for instance, the Quinn family series, we have the brothers and the cousins. You could go in and read that one book, Choosing Love, which is Cullen's story, and it would be fine. I mean, you would hear about the other characters, which I would hope would make you want to go back and read their stories, but they all are standalone books. So I don't know, I started writing series, and I kind of like it. I introduce characters in one book and then expand on them in other books.
It's so hard to talk about it without it, like, messing up the book. Which book is it with the couple in the tree?
And then what?
The tree, the car accident.
Oh, that's another one of my favorites. That actually was Shatter Promises. I'm sorry. That was Shatter Promises.
Shatter Promises. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Shatter Promises, I really like that book too. It's just that I think in the beginning I was like, you know, because the way Sage writes, guys, you're reading and you're like, okay. You're like, wait, I don't know if I like these people. And then all of a sudden, boom, like something happens. You're like, okay, well, dang. You know what I mean? And just, you know, it's just like, and I can't even. Now that just sounds so stupid, because you guys are like, what is she talking about? Now you gotta go read the book. You
gotta read it, shit. Yeah, because if she tells too much, it'll ruin it.
You know, that's not the whole thing. But it mixes in a lot of the tropes that
I do like throwing some loops in there. I am not. I mean, I've read some books like Jan. Woo, that woman, she can write a story. Like, but mine will take you through some twists and turns, but in the end, I hope that you enjoy it. I think one of the things that I love to hear people say, and I try not to read reviews, because sometimes, you know, that can get really messy and you get all in your feelings about them. But someone wrote the last book she read of mine. She said that, you know, a typical Sage book, couldn't put it down, like just read it until I finished it. And that made me feel good. Like, okay, so.
Those reviews you guys can keep doing. Those reviews are welcome.
Yes, yes. We love those reviews.
We love those reviews. You know, and just to piggyback on that, you know, I've talked about that with people before. So, you know, guys, in this world of self-publishing, I'm just going to say a little something about reviews. In this world of self-publishing, you know, we totally always encourage everybody to put reviews out there. Right. But there is a review of a story, and then there is a review where it's just kind of based on like your personal whatever, and that's almost like of an attack nature.
Right.
You know, if there's a way for you to like discern between that, you know, please do.
Like I'm good with, if somebody reads my book and they said, you know what, I wasn't feeling this book at all, I didn't like it, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I got a review where the person told me that I didn't need to end it like that, that this is what I should have done, and that character shouldn't have done. But it's my characters, you know, and I'm not being snippet. If that person really felt that strongly about it, write a book. Yeah. Like they are my character. If you read my book and you say, you know what, I wasn't feeling those characters, they had no chemistry, I'm okay with that. So what I do is I go back, okay, well, what did I not do? You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. But when people are kind of malicious, I've gotten a few of those where it had nothing to do with the book. That I felt like it was a personal attack on me. Yeah. You know, those are
that, you know, and the thing is when you are self-published, even if you're small press or digital press, you know, we are in the groups with you. You know, right. What I mean? So if you are a member of a book club group, we're probably right there with you. And so if you're a member of, you know, whatever, we're probably right there with you. So when you say it, we hear it, we see it, you know, and I've had a couple. I had one where they were like, I have a book out there called Groomer. And it's a book that has a sub-story that has a male to female trans, and it has a shelter for LGBTQ. And the woman who wrote the review was like, oh, this book is too gay, I don't like it. Now, mind you, there are just like no sex scenes that are not heterosexual. There's no whatever, but it's all about protecting people who have been abused, who are, you know, queer. And it's all about just kind of like this family who's trying to protect somebody, you know? And so I was just like, oh, so you're just like a hateful person, you know? It's like, you know, and I had another one where the person was like, it was like my book Melody, and they were like, oh, you know, I wanted the person, the hero to get with this person or that person, you know what I mean? I'm just like, but that wouldn't be my story. Right. That's not where the story that I wrote was about forgiveness. Right. And so, you know, it was about a second chance at love. So it wasn't about, you know, that, you know, so it's so interesting. So, you know, I love reviews. Leave all the reviews. But, you know, just, you know, remember, we're human. We're right there. We're right there with you. We're in the same groups that you're in. And also, Sage, I wanted to ask you, so like right now, I know you're doing a lot of revamping and stuff, but what's the next book that you have coming out? What are you working on right now with Sage Young?
I'm actually working on a couple of, if you've read any of the Moretti or, the Quinn family series, there were brothers, Malcolm and Malik. So I'm working on Malcolm's story. And so that's going to be an AA story. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on a now this is a little different for me. It's a dark romance, not too dark, but it's a little, characters, the male characters, they're brothers, and they're pretty brutal. Like, I I don't know. I don't know if they're too brutal, but it's a little on the dark side. So I'm also working on that. So,
Dark.
well, and dark in that they can be very vicious, but not when it comes to their women. Just
So is it like a like alpha male? Is it slide
yes.
like urban, or is it
It's
like
that definitely alpha male. It's definitely alpha male, and it's actually a family who was part of a crime family, but no more. But it's kind of hard to disconnect from that. So
I'm
that I'm working on. That's that, and actually the a lot of what I experienced in Greece and saw in Greece will be brought into that series, which will be a series too, because I like introducing characters and then giving them their own books.
I
So.
do. I was not a big series person for a long
Mhm.
time, but when I did my Civil War series, I was like, oh yeah, because I love popping in old characters into the new. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And that's kind of cool. I like that. So that part I like, but I'm not a big.
And I like how fans say, so and so going to get their own book. Where's so and so's book? Like,
And and like Say said earlier about cliffhangers and people not liking it. I am one of those people. I
mhm.
hate a cliffhanger.
Angela was one of those people that gave it to me.
I do not like it. What just happened? And now I gotta create a whole story in my brain. And then when your next book comes out, it doesn't match the story in my brain. Now I'm just like, now I'm even madder. But I do like when I like when I come to series late.
Mhm.
So like when an author has like 2 or 3 of the books out,
And
and
you can
so
just go through them.
yeah, it's like binge watching Netflix. I'm just one clicking the whole time because I found that what I do like about series is I love being able to fall into the world
Mhm.
and stay in there for a little bit.
Yes.
I
Yep.
like that as a reader and as a writer. So
Yep.
maybe you guys have converted me a little bit, but
A little bit. A little bit.
I hate a clip. I would keep that to yourselves. That sucks. So which one is next, Sage? Which book is coming out next?
Actually, so there was a book that I was part of a Christmas series, and that was the Draco Brothers. So the interesting enough, there are 4 brothers. One is, and this one is getting married because that's from the Christmas series, but we have another brother that's the book that's coming out. I Want You to Want Me. I don't want to give too much away because to talk about, so Alex is one of the brothers, and Carlin is a new character that's introduced.
I like that title. When you told me that, I was like,
Yeah.
Because what is
He
that?
really
Is that
does.
Shania Twain? Who is that?
I don't know. My sister was singing it. She was like, "Oh, you named it after that?" I was like, "No, I just kind of, that's how he feels. Like, I want you to want me." Like,
Yeah.
and if you read the
Whoever
book, you'll
knows
know
what the
why.
song is,
Right.
put us up. Tell us who sings that. We need to Google that.
Okay. Well,
But
I'll find out.
I love that song, and it's like as soon as you said it, I was like, dun, 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 dun. I was like, I know that song.
Yes,
All
but
right.
that's what's coming out next. I'm trying to finish that up and get that. It's so hard, like this. So I've been working from home because of the pandemic, and it's been hard. It's been hard to just sort of focus on writing and working, and it's a different time. We are definitely in a different time. So.
And we talk about that, you and I
Mhm.
and some other friends, all the time, because it's like for me, and maybe for a lot of my friends, but I have no problem being alone.
Mhm.
But what I don't like is I don't like feeling like I can't do, you know?
Right. Right.
And it's like right now, I feel like so many of us, are really probably not taking it as seriously as we should, perhaps. And so, you know, it's like it's weighty on the brain,
Mhm.
and then you have all these other things that are happening in our country here in America right now. And
Right.
so all of it is so heavy that, when it even comes to just writing,
Mhm.
when I get on a writing spree, and and even like us, we try to sprint and do other things together.
Right.
It's like, but the words don't come for me as easily as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And some friends and I were messing with Sage because Sage was just like cranking out some words. I was like, Sage, let me shoot you my book over there. You just some ghost writing. But it's just like the words weren't coming, were not coming. But this book that I'm gonna be releasing soon, Broken Road,
Mm-hmm.
is it was a heavier book. Is it? And Sage helped me with.
I can't wait.
It's a heavier book, but I was happy when I was able to like really get into it, because this book started out in an anthology that we were all in,
Right.
Crossroads. But it's like this book is something that I was just like, I can't finish it because there's so much going on that I can't shut it out. I couldn't shut the world out long enough for me to be able to write the book. Right. And so it took so long for this, and I'm just now getting ready to push the button to send it to the editor. So, but meanwhile, I'm over here with Sage, and Sage is like, crank, 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 crank. More words.
That was I Want You to Want Me. That's the crank, crank, crank one. So I'm hoping by September we can have it out there.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's, guys, that's what's so good about having people in your writing tribe who are about making it happen. You know what I mean? So it's like every time somebody finds out about a new Facebook group, or every time we see that somebody who should be writing is not writing, we're constantly trying to encourage and keep the next person going.
Right. So, we have to. That's right.
All right. So right now we can expect for you to get some of these Quinn Brothers series, the Malcolm and Malik. You got so much that's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do we keep up with you so we know when the next book is coming out?
Well, I'm on all platforms. So if you look up Author Sage Young on Facebook, Instagram, it's all the same. Author Sage Young on Facebook, Instagram, and authorsageyoung.com is my website. You can always go on there to see I need to do some updating because I've had another release and I need to get stuff updated on that. But yeah, you can always reach out to me at authorsageyoung.com and shoot me an email. Let me know. Say hi.
She's out there on IG and Facebook, so she will see it when you guys reach out to her.
Absolutely. It's funny because we were talking about, we didn't mention the paranormal book that we all did together, which was definitely, and that was in another time, that definitely was out of my comfort zone. Yeah. That was the first and only paranormal book that I did. It was fun writing it though, but it definitely was out of my comfort zone. Yeah. So that's another book that you guys can look up in another time.
That one was time travel. Was it a time travel one? Okay, I've read so many of Sage books. I could be.
Yes.
Right
No. It's time travel, reincarnation.
Yeah, it's like so. But yeah,
it's my hodgepodge of putting that together.
Yeah, so. That was the one you had in Creole Nights, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So guys, we've been rolling for a minute, Sage.
Yes.
For a minute. So you guys keep your eyes out for that too. And what I like about Sage's books, for those of you who love the HEA stuff, I know you are, is that it will make you feel good. The only thing you're going to be upset with at the end of a Sage book is the fact that you're going to want to know more about those characters. Like you're going to want to see them again,
I get that.
Which is a cool thing for why, the fact that you actually like series.
Yes.
Because you can stay connected to the other people. Because that's really...
They always make reappearances. Like, so the Cullen family, the Quinn family series, they are all intermingle. And so, you get to visit you get to see that the twins are older now. And so you get to see.
And it's like, it feels like you are being invited into like a little moment or whatever. So I like that. Her books they do make you feel good. We probably write a little differently. My books might make you sad and a little angry, but but Sage does have a very, very, very ATA. It's very warming. You know what I mean? Like even some of the stuff that you have, and that I was reading, and was just like, yeah, people are gonna definitely want to see part 2 of this one. It's just like she does. Her stories will make you feel good.
Oh, thank you. I try.
Well, you succeed at it, madam. You succeed at it, even just doing this. If whoever has that original book or that book with the original
Okay, so for those who want to see it, I will put it on. I'll put it on Facebook.
Yeah, you guys have when you watch this, you have to tag Sage if you have not seen the original cover, and you have to tell her that you want to see that cover because it was just so funny because it's just her.
Yeah.
I was just like, girl.
I was at my wit's end at that point. I was like, I needed something. I need a cover. You know what? At this point, I don't care. Let's just put it on there.
I just thought that was hilarious. I'm sorry, but it just tells you that when you are really enjoying and you love what you do, and it's something that really is meant for you to be doing,
right?
That you find a way to make it happen. And look at the success you had from that, and look at where you are now, all these years later. Just look at how you're continuing to grow and to thrive at this. And I think that that's something that we should all think about. If you have to take a shortcut, or if you have to you can't do this because you don't have the graphic artist, or you can't do that, don't necessarily let it stop you. Just find people who are willing to work with you where you are, whether it be other authors, writers, or just other resources. So don't let it stop you, because you could be on the cover of your book doing this.
Could be.
And you could be here 8, 9, 10 years later.
I've since changed that cover, everyone. I've since changed it.
Still, it was successful. So I just think that's awesome. All right, guys. Hey, everybody out there, YouTube world, podcast land. This is Angela K. Austin, and we
Sage Young.
I'm like, which way to point? We've been chatting with my girl, Sage Young, right? So make sure that you hit her up on Facebook, IG, check out her website, check out all her new releases.
Yes, please.
Sign up for her newsletter.
Yes.
So let her know that you are down with the HEAs, okay? All right. If you can hear my voice, if you can see our faces, I want to say thank you to Madame Sage for joining.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you guys will join me again soon. Bye, guys.
See you guys.